Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Shad.
This week, we are covering multiple movies in our holiday extravaganza.
Woo!
The Silent Night franchise. 3, 4, and 5.
AKA the best ones.
Enter a world of dreams.
Laura, tell me what you saw in your dream.
I told you, Dr. Newberry. Santa Claus.
A world of silence.
Subject may be making contact.
I don't want to see the future or the past. I just want to be normal.
A world of madness.
No one is normal.
A world that can't be ignored.
She likes it, loves it. She can't resist it. She wants to penetrate his mind, see what he sees.
He was a little boy, and then something happened. Something terrible.
Because when the dream is over,
I don't know what's going on here, but whatever it is,
the nightmare begins. The Yuletide terror returns.
His brain was surgically reconstructed.
If you don't mind my saying, I'd have pulled his plug.
Even his life was of value.
With the saga that shocked a nation. Robert Culp, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 3, Better Watch Out. Supported by full trade and consumer advertising. POP includes a full-size poster.
So, Silent Night 3, 4, and 5 are the ones we're going to be covering. They are all very crazy. I had never seen any of them. And I'm just going to really quickly, the Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, Better Watch Out. Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Initiation. And Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker. Yes, from 1989 to 1991. So, I don't know if any of you have actually seen any of the Silent Night, Deadly Night films. The first movie I saw a couple of years ago for the first time totally traumatized me. It's a lot. There's a lot going on. But basically, a brother and a toddler, they get into a car accident with their family because a Santa jumped in front of the car. I'm
glad you said with their family. It made it seem like the toddler and the baby were driving there for a minute. They hijacked the car Home Alone style and we're out just fucking shit up in Christmas time.
They're the only survivors of this terrible incident, and unfortunately, the toddler, he witnessed the raping of his mother, the murder of his parents, the whole thing by the Santa Claus. Why later on, as he's a grown-ass man, you snap and you're like, you know what? I'm going to become the new Santa killer. Don't ask me why, but it happens. But I digress.
It makes as much sense as Batman. His parents were killed by a thug, so one day he saw a bat and was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll be a bat and scare the shit out of these people.
I guess.
Makes as much sense.
So, part 2 is about the younger brother, Ricky, who snaps. And then we come to part 3.
And of course, part 2 is the one you have the great you've seen on YouTube with the garbage day. That's the only thing people remember from that movie because half the footage in that movie is from part 1. They flash back to it a lot. But I always kind of admire the people that have the guts to make a movie and go, yeah, 3/4 of this movie is footage from the last movie. We just shot like 10 new minutes and put it in here and called it a day.
So that was the formula for this movie, Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, Better Watch Out, where the brother's now a grown man, or he was a grown man in the second one, but he's now in a coma.
And now he's played by Bill Moseley.
Yes, totally new actors playing him.
And my favorite feature is they gave him the old-fashioned see-through skull where you can see his brain. He's just got like a big fish bowl on his head with his brain, and it's only half full of blood. I would think you would need to keep the whole brain immersed in blood, but they have it just half full because special scientists found him after he was shot down in the last movie, and they rebuilt his head and all of his parts and put it back together. They Frankensteined him, but he's still having memory issues. So how do you solve that, you ask? You get a blind psychic to come in and connect with him and try and lead him through his memories. That's how you do it, because, fuck, of course, how else would you do it?
So, not only is she blind, but she's also a psychic.
Yeah.
And
because, you lose one sense, you gain the others stronger, and she would just, bam, right into the psychic abilities.
This is a time frame, the 80s. There was some crazy shit going about with people that have handicaps. They have heightened abilities, like you just mentioned. And a lot of telepathy, just all around telekinesis. All kinds of shit is going on with people in these horror films. Because you have to have someone with a higher ability, a higher power, if they're going to go against something that's unstoppable.
And I feel like this was Friday the 13th Part 7 had come out a year or two before this, so I'm sure that they were just like, yeah, let's do that. Let's have someone with psychic powers.
If you look at all these movies, 3, 4, and 5, the year that they came out, and saw the other movies that came out within the genre, you will notice there may or may not be a trend happening. So...
Now, the psychic is played by a woman named Samantha Scully, who kind of reminds me like of an 80s Jennifer Connelly.
Yes, phenomenon.
And I'm sure they were exactly going for that too. Hey, she looks a little like Jennifer Connelly. Let's just put her in here and make her have psychic powers. And there's our computer beeping at us to update again. And, it always does that. There's some other people you might recognize in this movie as well. It took me a minute to catch on to the guy that plays the psychic's brother. I was like, that guy's face is so familiar. Why does he look that way? But he's wearing like full denim outfit. Denim, he's got jeans, denim jacket, all faded. But my favorite is when the fading matches. The pants and the jacket are exactly faded to the same amount. And he's got the long curly hair. Like, who is this guy? Oh, I see now. He's the guy who played Leo in Twin Peaks, Eric DeRay. Except you would never recognize him with this hairstyle. And I'm not done with Twin Peaks yet, because also the doctor who's conducting these experiments is the guy who played Ben Horn on Twin Peaks. His name is Richard Bamer. And as these movies go on, you'll see more and more people that end up in David Lynch movies.
This is the last film to follow the storyline that was previously set in the last 2 movies. The 4 and 5 are standalone films.
Kind of.
They're mostly standalone films.
Yeah. They don't have anything to do with the original Silent Night story, but there's some weirdness going on with like what...
They're standalone in the fact that 4 and 5 may have one connection, but they're not at all connected to the first 3. The first 3 have a connection. They're just to clear that up. So, oh man, yes, Bill Moseley in a coma with the see-through half-liquid brain should just tell you right there that this movie was terrible. I did not care for this film. I'm just going to throw my review really quick, and then we'll just make fun of it.
There's not much to it, to be quite honest. It's pretty much Bill Moseley is in the hospital when a Santa that's giving out presents comes into the room, triggers Bill Moseley. He wakes up out of the coma immediately, and you get like the Austin Powers kill from him with the Santa Claus, with the Santa's on the other side of the room going, no, what are you doing? Stop, don't come towards me. No. You're by the door, dude. Just open the door and run. Because this guy, Bill Moseley, never runs in the course of this movie. He just staggers around like a drunk Michael Myers throughout the whole thing.
They never do. They just walk that very, very, very slow walk.
But I like the guy, the Richard Bamer, the doctor who plays the doctor in this. He's got he plays like I was saying, Dr. Sex Predator was my note, because he's telling the psychic, we'll come back at this and we'll go harder, deeper, faster, and longer into this thing. We'll just be relentlessly going in like, Jesus, dude, you sound like a fucking sex criminal trying to describe what you're going to do to somebody.
Didn't also he asked her how long she had been handicapped?
Yeah.
I was like, what is this question?
But then, of course, you have like a story from her. She has an accident, too. Somehow she went blind during a plane crash. I never understand how they come up with these random ways. Why couldn't she have just been blind? Why did that be during a plane crash?
It was during a plane crash. She lost her sight. Who knows? But if you really think about it, this has like kind of Little Red Riding Hood kind of, feel to it, because the big bad wolf, which would be Ricky, he's coming after her while she's going home to grandma's house with her brother.
In the woods.
Yeah.
And this is another one of those creepy 80s movies, too, where the brother introduces her to the girlfriend that he's bringing to Thanksgiving or to Christmas dinner. And his sister just says, yeah, he told me all about you. He says you give great head. Who talks about that with their sister?
Yeah, how does he know that?
Who sits around and talks about that with their sister and is like, yeah, my girlfriend, she gives really good head. Like, what? Who talks about that to their siblings like that? Very strange.
It is very, very strange. The whole movie is strange. The poor grandma, Ricky, because you gotta love the assistant to the doctor, because it's like, she says this line like 4 times. If she can see what he's doing, then she can think, can he see what she's doing? Like,
yes. The answer is yes.
So he sees where the grandma lives, and just like the big bad wolf, he gets there before she does, even though they left before he did.
Yeah,
but okay.
They left hours before he did, and somehow he spent time hitchhiking. This is one of my favorite parts of the movie. He's standing in the hospital robe with the see-through brain apparatus by the side of the road with his thumb out hitchhiking, and someone picks him up.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm going to throw this out there, okay? The person that picked him up, I feel, was a Puerto Rican man. As a half Puerto Rican woman myself, I feel like he was Puerto Rican. No Puerto Rican is going to be picking up a white naked man, okay, with a freaking, he's wearing his hospital gown with an exposed brain out on the side of the road. I'm sorry. I mean, who picks up a dude like that? I would be like, no, bitch, I would pretend I didn't even see you and keep driving.
Yeah, no eye contact. Just look straight ahead, keep going. But yeah, so he picks him up, and that's where, of course, he's killed shortly thereafter.
5 seconds later, he's killed. He cannot go home to his wife, who's making him wear the ugly Christmas sweater.
Yeah.
That he happened to mention in passing in the 5-second conversation.
They tried to give everybody a little bit of a character in this one. And then, of course, he stops to get gas, like you do. And he ends up murdering the guy at the gas station because he said something Christmas-related. And he leaves his severed head sitting on the desk while his girlfriend is talking dirty to it. Because I guess she's like, oh, he hasn't said anything for a while. That means he just wants me to keep talking dirty to him.
And she's talking real dirty, and I'm like, who's having conversations like that, with a gas station? I don't know. It's very strange. It's very strange. The film does not, there's no like, it just goes all out. This is what we're doing. This is what we're about. And Grandma, this is the part that kills me. Grandma sees this guy. She opens the door, and she's like the classic grandma. The white, pure snowed hair, really pretty, wearing her little Christmas outfit with that apron, she's baking cookies. She's so sweet and nice. But yet, they did not teach her, maybe don't open a door to a man that looks like Ricky. She's like, but she has sympathy because she feels like he's a little off, like he's special.
Oh, he is.
I mean, he is, but
she's not wrong.
Not in the way that she thinks. She's like, oh, I'm going to be accepting because my granddaughter has a handicap and it looks like you have a handicap. Come in. I'm not going to be prejudiced and discriminate against you. But it's like, guy, no. It's a difference between being blind or in a wheelchair. It's another thing when your booty out and you got a freaking...
Well, he'd put some clothes on by this point.
Fishbowl brain. Fine. The freaking Puerto Rican guy's Christmas sweater with his booty out.
Yeah. What gets me is they kind of make out like the grandma's is going to have psychic powers too, because they show her walking around and she goes, the phone's going to ring, And then the phone rings. She's like, oh, okay, maybe Grandma's going to... No, Grandma apparently only has psychic abilities to tell when the phone's going to ring. That's it. And she gets no vibes from this killer whatsoever. He comes in, murders the shit out of her, and she's just like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Now, I wish they would have gone, like, full, like, mind you, this is my assumption of the whole Little Red Riding Hood thing, because that's what I got from it. But why couldn't, when they got there, why couldn't he been wearing her clothes like Ed Gein, you know, or Gein or whatever?
That would have been pretty funny.
With the bonnet and like
the clear brain sticking out from underneath it, but he's like, Grandma welcomes you.
Yeah, because she's blind, so she's not gonna know, right? Like when she touches the face, it's gonna be Grandma's face. I mean, obviously, the brother...
Oh, you're not just wearing her clothes, wearing her skin, too.
Yeah, I said Ed Gein. Like, he's wearing the whole, like, suit. He's wearing a grandma suit. He just took all her innards on and just put her skin on top of his skin, like a whole suit. Like, he just skinned her from top to bottom. And, you know, he's just there welcoming them with the cookies. I feel like that would have been pretty fucking classic.
Now... It doesn't take them long once they get to Grandma's house to figure out something's wrong, and then Ricky comes out and attacks them. And these people are the worst. Like, they let Ricky is attacking the brother and stabbing him, and the two girls just stand there and go, oh, no, stop, what do we do? This is horrible.
Now, I can understand the blind girl. She really can't see where he's attacking, so okay. But the other girl is useless. It's like your boyfriend is being attacked, and you're not even trying to run.
You don't even try to help.
She didn't even try to, at least leave the blind girl behind. Like, okay, I just met you, so bye. I'm running for my life. I'm saving myself. She doesn't even try to do that. She's just standing there like, I'm just so helpless. No, please don't. Stop killing him. Like, what?
Yeah. And, you know, this one just, of the ones that we watched, this is the least interesting because they didn't even do anything crazy with the slasher. Besides the fact that he has the see-through head, he just slowly walks up and stabs people, you know. And they did a little bit of the Halloween 2018 thing where the psychiatrist is riding with a cop trying to find him, and when the cop tells the psychiatrist guy, "Oh, I've got to go relieve the reptile," the scientist jumps into the car, drives off, tries to find Ricky and warn him that they're going to come and kill him, and then of course Ricky just kills him. I'm like, oh. Did they steal this for the 2018 Halloween? Because that seems kind of familiar.
I like the clue that the doctor had given the cop. He was like, she did say her grandmother. She always brings me oranges from her grandmother's grove. And the fucking cop is like, we're going to need some oranges. Where are there oranges in the area? Orange trees? Like, that's
in California.
That's a common thing. Like, they know exactly where. Oh, here you go. Pinpoint off route marker 29.
We need the address of an old lady who lives near Orange's Stat. And they're like, okay, Detective Jones, we got you right here. Here's her address.
Wasn't the psychic, the blind lady, wasn't she also sending, like, signals, like, some clues to the fucking police officer somehow?
No.
No, because I feel like when he got there, he thanked her. He was like, thank you for helping me find you. And I'm like, how did she do that? Was she leaving like breadcrumbs?
Yeah, they never really explained that. And what the weirdest part of this to me is, of course, you know, you have the showdown with her and Ricky, and she stabs Ricky a few times with a broken broom handle, and that does him in. They're loading everybody in the ambulance at the end of the movie, and now I couldn't tell if it was Ricky or the brother that they loaded into the ambulance and said, get him to the hospital, we might be able to save him.
Yeah, and I'm like, I hope they're not trying to save, what is so special about Ricky? Like, why are they keep reviving him and putting fake brain bowls and all kinds of crazy shit? Like, he fucking has a cure to fucking cancer. Like,
then the best part of it is, she's sitting in the police car talking to the cop, and she says, I hope you have a Merry Christmas. And then we get a few seconds of them driving away in the car, and then we cut to a fade in of Bill Moseley still wearing the brain bowl but in a tuxedo, and
he's wearing a Santa hat on top of the brain bowl. I feel like he was wearing a Santa hat,
and then says, and a Happy New Year. Roll credits.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
What the hell? Okay, so that one's done. Now up next is Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Initiation.
A bizarre event.
This would make a great story.
For her, it was the chance of a lifetime.
I work for the LAI. I'm an investigative reporter. There's got to be some logical explanation for the burning.
But some questions
Get away from me! Leave me alone!
are better left unanswered.
What happened? Are you all right? The woman who jumped. She was my daughter. But now you've come to take her place.
Make your fear real. Get it out.
It's the night you've been waiting for.
Kill the man. Become a whole woman.
The night you've been screaming for.
This is the final step.
Silent Night, Deadly Night 4. Initiation.
You're one of us now.
Join the club.
Man, we rolled through that third one because there barely is anything to talk about that film.
Okay, but
There's no substance.
Now we're at part 4, and man, are there things to say about this. Because Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 4 is written and directed by our good friend Brian Usna.
Usna, okay? If you guys are not familiar with Usna, we have covered several of his movies. I feel like all of his movies. We've covered at least 3, I feel. And he has
very, very particular fetishes, is Brian Usna. Very creepy, slimy body horror stuff. Usna is all about it.
Yes, I wasn't going to say fetish. I was going to say, I don't know what the word was. I didn't want to use fetish. But yes, he does have a tendency to go a little much. And he does it with the help of Screaming Mad George.
Yeah, when you see their names together,
effects.
you know it's going to be some crazy shit.
4 and 5 have Usna attached to them in some shape, way, or form.
Yeah, he co-wrote part 5, and produced it, but he didn't actually direct that one.
And not to be an asshole, but when you see Usna, you're like, oh God, what is this gonna be? Then you see Clint Howard is in the movie,
Clint
and you're like,
Howard is like the second build guy in this movie. You're like, oh, this is not going to be good.
The film opens up, Clint Howard is a bum, okay? And he fucking finds a burger on the floor, as you do. He opens it, and he's like, fuck, there's no cheese. And I'm like, this is the opening to this film.
Also, you looked away at the point and did not notice that the burger was covered in cockroaches.
Oh, God! Oh, okay. We're not gonna jump right into that real quick. We're gonna save that for. But yes, I must have, because I just noticed that there was no cheese. That he said that, and I was like, I have to have this in my fucking opening, because who opens a film like that?
Oh, but it gets better from there.
While that's happening, above him, the building that he's standing next to, there's a woman who's having some kind of struggle, and. The woman is burning on top
She falls.
of the roof. She falls. She's on fire. Then she isn't on fire. And then she's on fire again when she hits the ground. And she has 2 large holes where her butt cheeks would have been.
And her legs
they're burning and they're singed.
Her legs are just gone. Her legs look like those things that you light up, those little snakes you light up for 4th of July. Her legs look like that, just laying out behind her. And my favorite is when the police come and do the old time, like, trace around the body with a chalk outline. They trace around the little, like, charcoal legs that she has. They trace around the charcoal legs and leave that there. It's hilarious.
And the butthole cheeks. What the fuck? Did she have butt implants and that's why her butt cheeks fucking burned like that?
Exploded? I don't know. I think they just set the dummy on fire and whatever happened.
The plastic just burned through in a perfectly round fucking circle on each side. What the fuck is that? And then there's a crazy fucking sex scene. Like, I think...
Cut right to the sex scene, yeah.
And it's like porno sex. It's like full sex. Like, I was just like... Literally, the movie has not even been on for 5 minutes. We see Clint Howard eating fucking a cockroach burger. A woman thrown off a building, on fire, not on fire, with her singed fucking snake legs. Whatever the fuck it was. And then a straight up, hardcore, no, I wouldn't say hardcore, but it was...
some softcore stuff here.
Softcore sex.
And then, of course, these are like the couple that's they're working in a newspaper together, and she wants to investigate the burning lady. And he's like, stories like that aren't for dames. That's for real men reporters. You girls need to stick to what you do best. Stick working the obituaries, kiddo, and the classifieds. You'll get there
the calendar,
someday.
The events.
Yeah, it's like it's a 1930s kind of movie. She's like, no, I think I'll just go investigate. So she goes to investigate, and she runs into Clint Howard, of course. And he is typical greasy Clint Howard. But at one point, she ends up on the roof of the building where the girl jumped off, and you see this giant, slimy bug that looks like a giant version of one of the worms from Star Trek II, just like slithering along. Clint Howard just picks it up and is like, how did you get out of here? And then just shoves it back into a hole, like with no problem. You're like, what the fuck is going on?
And she goes to investigate at the bottom of the building because there's a bookstore down there.
It's the New Age bookstore that's in all these movies throughout the 80s, where it's like their entire section is that one section in Barnes & Noble that just has all the pictures of aliens like riding Sasquatch around. That's the whole bookstore.
And the clerk at the bookstore is like, she has random bowls right at the checkout counter, and she's like, here, eat this mung fucking beetle, whatever the hell it is, like some weird, it looked like, was it a date? It looked like some kind of bean or something.
It looked like a date that had been shriveled, and then you dipped it in chocolate or something, because it was like dripping and greasy. And she picked it up and just immediately ate it, like no questions, like, oh, okay, this is probably fine.
She ate it, and then the best part, meaning the worst part, was when she spit out the freaking pit, and the clerk is like, oh, here you go, I'll take that for you. Puts it in a napkin and just like puts it in her fucking pocket. You're at that point, I feel like you're like, so this woman is a witch. Like, she's gonna put some kind of fucking curse, spell, some shit on me, because who's randomly keeping like spitted out pits from fucking customers in their pocket? Also, why would you be, I understand it's like a new age whatever, but even in the new age stores, like in fucking, like, I would think of like Portland, Oregon, they don't have weird like dates and bullshit at the counter for you to eat.
No, not just like drippy, slimy. It's not like there was like a bowl of individually wrapped candy that you picked up from there and said, oh, sure, I'll take a mint. No, this would just be like if there was a bowl of loose M&Ms that someone poured chocolate sauce on and then left it there and said, help yourself. Why not?
I don't know what Yuzna was thinking and or the other people that wrote this, but for some reason they thought, yeah, maybe one of them had read like Kafka's like Metamorphosis. Maybe that was a thing, because once she's trying to investigate, you know, she's not even supposed to be doing this investigation because she's not a reporter. She's the calendar girl. Like, she does the foo-foo work at the freaking newspaper, like you previously mentioned.
Oh, and her editor is Reggie Bannister from the Phantasm movies. So, like, we know what Reggie now does with his spare time when he's not out chasing the tall man. He works as a newspaper editor.
And, you know, she's on the lead. You know, she's trying to gather up all this information, which is like basically no information. She gets invited by the clerk to come to some like weird hangout that a woman's empowerment meeting or whatever. So she's like, oh, okay.
And also, let me ask you about this. When you go to meet a group of strange women for the first time and they all just greet you by kissing you on the mouth, are you not a little suspicious that something might be going on here more than just an empowerment meeting?
I like how you just jumped ahead to that. Yes, obviously that's... But we're going to get more into that, because that...
Red flag.
There were several red flags in this get-together, okay? We'll get to that. We can't just skip over the most horrifying part. This is when the movie for me was like, I can't see this movie anymore. I don't know how I sat through this movie. It was way too much for me. I feel like I should write Yuzna a letter of like, you did something to me and I need therapy now, because she goes back home and she's making pasta dinner. And while she's making this dinner, there's a crazy outbreak of bugs. It goes from like 1 bug to like 5,000 bugs all over, coming out of the sink, and she's spraying up the apartment with, with her quote unquote raid. And they're just coming out the wazoo. She goes to sit down and she's eating her pasta, and then it's like one of those things like, oh, my pasta looks fine. It's like the Lost Boys. My pasta's fine. And oh, is it maggots? No, it's not maggots. It's fucking roaches. It's roaches, and they're crawling everywhere. And
she flips the spaghetti, she flips it over, it lands on the floor, and did it just land in the exact symbol that we saw in the bookstore about the witchcraft?
Yes, there's a symbol that keeps coming about.
Oh, Brian, you so crafty.
At this point, she's like, I'm out, because she actually was supposed to have dinner with the guy she was fucking earlier in the movie. So she goes to have weird, awkward dinner with the guy and his family. Like the brother, and this is the only reason why we even have this scene, is because we're going to visit this family at the last part of the film. And we need them to be here. So it's the dad that's mad sexist and is like, women belong in the kitchen and no one, that's all they need to be doing.
He tells her off the bat, my wife never worked. She didn't need to. And then she says something about, oh, well, we didn't celebrate Christmas at my house.
Because she's Jewish.
Yeah, we didn't celebrate Christmas. We celebrated Hanukkah. And he's like, well, isn't that a surprise? And he just whips out the anti-Semitism, like, real quick. You can tell, like, Dad's the racist. Every kind of ism there is, Dad is that.
Yeah, if you're a person that gets triggered by things, this is not the film for you. There's a lot of triggers.
Oh, no. Yeah, I don't. This is the
trigger alert. With this, we should have said that at the beginning.
This movie should just be called Trigger Warning, because there's something in here that'll get to everybody.
Silent Night, Deadly Night, Trigger Warning.
That's part 6, and it has like a gun on the front of it with a hand holding it, but then really it's just all the offensive shit that happens, and that's what the trigger warning is.
So she has her, weird interaction there to meet the brother, the mom, the dad, and also to get, I don't know, possibly raped in the front lawn. Like,
I also love when you have these people that they're like the guy looks like he's in his early 30s, but he has like a 10-year-old brother.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what? And the parents still look like they might be in their early 50s. You're like, so, okay, never mind. But yeah, he just like jumps right on her. He's immediately like, you know what would make you feel better about this bad day with my parents? Some sex.
Like, they're not even in the car. They're like in the snow. Like, it's cold as fuck, and he's trying to literally take her fucking jacket off and just have her titties flapping in the fucking wind, okay? But this is not the first time he's accosted her. After they had their throes of passion, multiple times in the movie at work, he has tried to accost her several times and be on top of her, and she's like, get away from me. Like, every time we're together, it's not about sex, because it obviously was for him, because that's all she was just a piece of ass. Even right off the beginning, he thought, oh, I thought we were supposed to keep this casual. And she's like, yeah, I want to meet your parents. And I'm like, I don't know if you know what the definition of casual is, girl. You can't, it's like when you're like casual, but the woman's like, oh yeah, let's keep it casual, wink wink. I really mean I want to marry you and have 4.5 kids. And it's like, no, that's not what we're doing here. But she leaves, she goes back to the apartment to continue the horror that had started. Now
the roach has grown roughly to the size of
a fucking toddler.
Yeah, it's like a 30-pound roach just walking through the apartment.
Smoking a cigarette. It's like the Beetle and fucking Beetlejuice that's just chilling on the fucking couch, smoking and drinking fucking whiskey. It's crawled under the couch. It's growing and growing. It literally, at one point, I had to stop. I had to look away because I was just, this is the most disgusting. First of all, what the hell is the point of this? Where it didn't even mention that in the book that the New Age book that she was reading. What is this weird roach thing that has literally grown? It's like all the roaches came together maybe and like build a mega roach, like it's a transformer, like Voltron, I should say. I don't know what's going on. But now the roach is literally trying to, I feel like at some point it was trying to get under her skirt. It was trying to enter her.
Yeah, it was trying to get inside her body, but she wasn't having it.
There's a roach fight in the bathroom where they're tossing. She's able to throw it out of the bathroom, and it's scuttles away to the wall. It's just horrifying. I did not enjoy any of that of the film, and it does not stop there with the roaches. It gets so much more worse. That was just a fucking tipping point. We do not get any clarity on the roaches. Now she goes and she meets with the ladies. First of all, the meeting is like 4 other ladies plus the bookstore owner. They're at a park. There's a picnic basket and a blanket. They're just like, it was a scene from The Craft when they're all like chanting and the fucking butterflies come. It was that scene, but there was nothing really happening. They gave her something to drink, and then she starts hallucinating that she's able to grab like a tree that's up and like high up above her,
and they're doing like the weird camera angles on it and everything. It was very strange.
And then pops up the fucking crazy ass boyfriend, like pops up out of nowhere. Like, first of all, there's no cell phones. Like, how did he track her? Was he following her the whole time? Like, he just pops up like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be following the story. They want you back at the office to finish the calendar. Like, what's happening? Where did this guy come from? Are you okay? What's wrong with you? And then I think he actually starts trying to get...
He probably did. We should mention too that now I don't remember when they show it, but they show him finally like in bed when he's actually got some clothes on before he's going to jump on her, and he's wearing the old timey nightshirt, like the stripe,
Scrooge,
like the Scrooge looking nightshirt that comes down past your knees. He's wearing that. Like,
yeah.
What?
Everybody that is in their nightgown part, because there's another scene where an Alice Blemish was her name, Beasley, she's wearing the freaking Christmas Carol nightgown as well, which is really weird. It was like they had no production value. Like, there was no costume department.
They just went and got whatever the hell they could find and were like, look, wear this, okay?
Yeah, just this is what's happening. Maybe they had that in their closet. Who knows? It's very strange. Yeah, that, I'm gonna tell you, if a man opened the door wearing that nightshirt gown thing, I would not be into it. I would be like, why do you look like one of the grandparents from Willy Wonka? Like, what's going on?
And Grandpa Joe here about to jump on you.
There was a lot of screaming for me. There was a lot of screaming.
So they give her again something to eat and drink at the house, and she immediately, she goes and meets them at their house again later because they invite her to come by later. She gets there, she eats something, drinks something, and she starts immediately feeling the effects of it. And like you do, they just strip her naked, lay her down on the couch, and then they pull the giant worm thing out of her.
Yeah, out of her stomach. Nasty.
They just pull that out. And then we proceed she gets to have sex with a greased up Clint Howard.
Oh, you just went into you skipped the whole thing. Before that happened, she gets kidnapped by Clint Howard in her house. Clint Howard.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. She jumped up and got away after they pulled the bug out of her, and we're like, "Yeah, this is happening now. This is your life. You need to embrace it." She ran away, and then that's when Clint Howard came to the house to abduct her. That's where we saw him in the nightshirt.
Yes, that's where we saw the guy in the nightshirt. Which you may be thinking, Betty and Chad, I haven't heard anything about Christmas in this whole film. Yes, because there isn't any. There's 2 references or 2 things at Christmas Eve. This fucking nightshirt, and when she does walk in and she sees Clint Howard sitting on her, he walks in. First of all, they're about to have sex because she gets horny off of something. She's like, oh, your nightshirt turns me on, because she's been drugged, induced by whatever, and she's acting all weird, and she's trying to have sex with a guy. And while they're like in the throes of it, Clint Howard walks in. He sits at the edge of the bed and starts watching TV, and he starts watching Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 3.
Because, you don't have to worry about clearances for anything, so you just shove that in there.
And then he starts laughing. And that's when the boyfriend is like, oh, what the fuck? Who are you? Why are you here?
Listen, there's never been any time I was having sex with someone on a bed and another person walked in and sat down on the bed that I wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell you're doing They just didn't notice, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't notice that. And then, of course,
I also
in
feel
all
like Clint Howard would give off a special aura or smell.
Definitely
or
smell.
Something, since he was living on the street eating cockroach burgers. I feel like that would have overwhelmed you right away.
So, yeah, he's there to collect her because she needs to come back and finish the initiation of what's happening, you know. And there's, of course, a kerfuffle and a fight between Clint Howard, the boyfriend, and her, and the boyfriend gets killed. Like,
Yeah,
and good riddance to him, because
I feel like he's about 1.5 feet taller and outweighs Clint Howard by a good 100 pounds. Like, he didn't try real hard to fight Clint Howard, I think.
The fight, I feel like, took 20 minutes, but this whole movie felt like it was like 5 hours long.
Yeah, like this guy, I felt like could have just picked up Clint Howard and thrown him out the window, but he kept just play fighting with him.
After all of this, and she's gone back, and now she's in some weird meat locker thing.
Yeah, it's the Chinese deli that's always around near this.
Yeah, which she had interviewed the guy earlier in the movie because
Asking
it's
him.
in the same building if he heard anything weird or whatever, and he's like, no, I'm good. And that whole scene is just disturbing too. But you know, as you do, witches, they naked, dancing around, you know, in a meat locker, and there's like, you know, a fucking oriental rug on the floor. And then here we go. Who do you have coming in? Clint Howard wearing a fucking dick nose mask. Like, it's a dick nose mask. And there's nothing, like, it's exactly what I'm saying it is. And it's horrifying.
And they grease him up. They lotion. They grease him up. Put the oils all over him, and then have him go at her, which is the second most horrifying part of the movie.
Yeah, and you know, okay, then there's a fadeaway. Thank God, like for all things, like thank everybody, because we didn't need to see that.
We didn't have to see any of Clint Howard's nudity.
What I saw was already too much. Just him with the dick nose mask on was like, okay, this mask obviously was made for a reason, and he's gonna use it because that's the impression it gives you. So that happens. She wakes up. She's booty naked in the fucking meat blocker, and they just put clothes on. They give her clothes, and they're like, "Here you go, on your way. Go live your normal life."
Oh, but one quick thing: you are gonna need to go find your boyfriend's brother that's 10 years old, and you're gonna need to kill him, or you're gonna die.
Yeah, or you're gonna burn up like a fiery death, like the chick in the beginning of the movie. Because guess what? Spoiler alert: bookstore owner, that was my daughter, and she didn't finish the initiation, and then she burned to flames.
So you're gonna have to go kill this kid.
There's no explanation to. They kind of hinted that the roaches and the thing that they took out of her is the disease, and it's like the fear that she has, and it's like it's like men are a disease, and they like put you down, they don't let you move forward, and you need to come to terms of, you know, that you're a woman and strong and you can get through it and whatever. There's a lot of things going on, and it's not clear at all. It's just mumble jumble bull crap. Like, it's not clearly said, this is it. This is just, everything I said is basically what they said. It's like fear and whatever, and it's like, what? But then how and why? What was the whole point to begin with? And it's special chosen women that are chosen. Not everyone has to go through this.
So how did she just randomly stumble into it, and they were like, oh, you have specially selected yourself by walking into the bookstore?
It was when she ate the seed. I'm pretty sure that was like the first test. Like, now we have her saliva in this thing. We're going to be able to do whatever fucking magics we're going to do to find out if she's going to be the one. Or if she has some kind of like reaction to it, then he's like, she has been chosen. Because that's the only link to the beginning of the film to to anything that goes on is her after she eats the seed. Like, after that, it's just downhill, because that's when she starts going through all this bull crap. It's just very strange and unclear, very much like Society. Like, I'm
sure they used this was just leftover ideas they had from Society, I'm sure.
And of course, she doesn't want to die. She doesn't want to kill the little kid either. So there's a power struggle between the bookstore owner and, the rest of the clan. And, she has to fight Kim is the Kim is the reporter's name.
Yeah.
She has to fight her way into doing all this. I guess we should call her a journalist, maybe? Anyways. And she has to fight against the bookstore owner, and then she does, and boom, she comes up in flames, and it's the end of the movie. And you're left with so many questions. What did I just see?
The brother lives, she lives. I guess it's like, okay, well, you killed the bookstore owner, so you get to live now. I guess.
Because she's the one that started the spell and put the spell on you, so she's the creator of the spell, and then now she's dead, so now the spell just doesn't affect you?
Yeah, I don't...
Exactly. Questions and what the hell? What did I just waste my 2 hours of my life? Also, when a film in its credits has a credit to pasta, okay? That's when you know that you've seen some crazy shit, okay? Pasta got a credit. The pasta that we saw Kim eat earlier in the film that got drenched in roaches got a credit, because that's a thing. You need a credit for that. And that's the end of Silent Night, Deadly Night, Initiation.
Now we're going to move on to Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker.
Welcome to the shop of Joe Petto. Here, you'll find the most amazing gadgets on Earth. Each toy is unique.
What a terrible accident.
Sarah, you think this is an accident? Look.
Each specially designed by the craftsman himself.
Buck, where did all these toys come from? What?
Sir, what do you know about that old guy from the toy store? I wonder if I told you he was arrested for maiming some kids several years ago.
What reason could he have to hurt innocent children?
Joe Petto always wanted a real boy.
Where's Derek? He took him.
Who took him? Where? Who?
The man from the toy store.
But he'll have to make what he can get.
All you need is a little of that, and a little of that, and a little of that.
From the producer of Bride of Reanimator.
I want my boy. When are you done with him?
I'm your son now, not him.
With special effects by Screaming Mad George Inc. of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. Comes the most incredible night yet. Mickey Rooney stars in Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker.
Merry Christmas.
Another Yuzna film.
He just wrote and produced this one. He didn't direct it. This one was directed by a guy named Martin Kitrosser.
Yeah, well, I was going to say another Yuzna film, like Dolls, that has toys in it.
And right off the bat, they let you know how clever they are here. They're like, oh, Mickey Rooney is in this movie, who coincidentally wrote a very large public statement decrying the original Silent Night, Deadly Night as what a terrible movie it was, and the people who made it should be run out of town. But a few years later, I'm going to be in part 5. I guess technically he's not a killer Santa in this one, and he objected to the whole portrayal of Santa, but he's still a killer in this, and he does at one point wear a Santa suit. So I guess there was enough money that changed his mind. But to let you know how clever they are, he owns a toy shop and makes toys, and his name is Joe Petto.
Yeah, Joe Petto. And his son is named Pino.
Oh.
Wink, wink, wink.
Do you get it?
Wink, wink, wink. So, why do all kids in the horror films in general, always end up watching their fucking parents have sex, and then something terrible happens after?
Yeah, that's not good. That's how this starts off. He sees the parents having sex.
And the dad, yucky.
The stepdad.
Oh, the stepdad. Well, we don't know that going in. You just gave that away, Shad, right off the bat. Fine.
Oh, yeah, because I didn't want to ruin this 30-year-old movie.
The stepdad, he has nasty matted fucking chest hair, and he's wearing a gold chain, so you should just already know. Yuck. Disgusting. Okay, like, no. He, once he's done with his woman, the son goes downstairs, because, of course, like in all things, let me open the front door, and there's a package waiting for me, I'm going to bring that in. And it says don't open at Christmas, and I'm gonna fucking open it, even though it's not even Christmas yet. I'm going to open it. Shadow's planning to play devil's advocate and be cute and be like, maybe it's 12:01. Maybe it's already Christmas morning. And I'm like, no, it says don't open till Christmas. That's like, you have to go to sleep and wake up where there's a sun, like hinting off the fucking clouds. You know, it's 6 a.m., 8 a.m., and then you open the present. That's Christmas morning. That's 12:01. That's someone who just wants to open the present. But he's a kid. So he opens the present, and I'll ask, what's in the box? I was like, was Pokemon a thing? I guess it was. It's like 1991 at this point. So
it looks like
a
big
Pokemon ball.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's a huge Pokemon ball. But it's not, because Dad comes down and he's like, literally picks the child up and is shaking him. Like, if it was a baby, the baby would be dead. He was just holding him up there for like 3 minutes. Holding him in the air, shaking him. What are you doing awake? Why are you down here? I told you not to open the door without a supervision. Which is true. Little kids should not be opening the door by themselves at any given point. But I don't think it, denotes being shaken up in midair for several minutes. And he shushes the kid away to be like, you know what, I'm going to finish opening this present and play with the toy because, it's addressed to me. And right there at that point, I was like, yeah, so he deserves everything that's going to happen to him because this guy's a fucking idiot.
And the toy is a weird, like, I thought it was just going to blow up and, like, throw spikes in his face or something. But it, like, just grows really long arms and legs and wraps around his face and kind of disorients him and has him freaking out, clawing at it.
So yes, that happened. But before all of that crazy shit happened, this should have been, there's clues, okay? Context clues that some shit was going to go down, okay? He opens it up. The top of it in the middle slowly gets longer. And it's, Santa. And he looks glorious. It's a painted, like, German-esque, picture illustration of Santa. And then the head spins, and it's Santa with a very mad face, like, it was Krampus style Santa, right? And now the music is playing off the thing, and now it's playing the funeral march.
Yeah.
That right there should have been like,
throw this shit in the fire that's burning.
It's not gonna be a good time. The funeral march is playing. Yes, that's when he gets choked out by Mega Santa Pokemon Ball.
And it causes him to fall and stab himself through the eye with the fireplace poker.
And now he's dead. And now we don't have a dad anymore.
No more dad. So she's, very upset. The mom is upset. She's like, he doesn't want to play with Christmas anymore. He's so upset about all this. So I'm going to take him down to the creepiest fucking toy shop I can imagine. And this is Joe Petto's Toys.
Before you get to, I did want to say that when she did come down the stairs, okay, because that was a part that I was just, because I have a sick fucking sense of humor and I was just crackling up. The son's there. She sees the dad dead. She just finished wiping up in her fucking rag. She just finished cleaning up in there. And then now she has to come downstairs. Dude that she just had sex with is fucking dead, right? And then she's like, oh no, what happened? I'm like, why is your voice so coarse? Was it mad dick that you were sucking 5 seconds ago? Like, you cannot fucking get your voice out? Like, it was weird raspy. It was crazy. It was just so raspy. Okay, so then yes, now we're in the toy store.
We're in the toy store, and the toy store looks like the fucking, like, Curious Goods from Friday the 13th, the TV show. Like, they opened another branch. Because all the toys are mad creepy in there. And then, like, she's asking the kid, like, well, don't you want one of these? He's like, no, I really don't. Like, they sell a toy called Larry the Larva.
Larry the Larva.
Which is a giant purple worm. Again, looks kind of like the worms from Star Trek that's in there. And it's like, no kid wants that. Even I was a weird monster kid. I would looked at that and been like, no, that's not good.
It doesn't also help that when you look at the box, it's like in a pink box, like long box looking like a doll box. So it's kind of misleading because you think you're going to get like this, cute doll, and it's not a cute doll at all. And all the toys most of the toys have weird, like, glued on googly eyes.
Yeah.
And it's not a good look. It's really terrible. And, there's weird. You get to meet Pino the son, Joe Petto, and then some weird guy who's been following them.
Yeah, and you're kind of worried at first that, like, oh, this is not going to be good. He's going to be a creepy fuck. And he is, but he's actually the real dad of the kid. Because, like all these things, she's like, I needed a man to take care of me, not a boy like you. And he's like, well, I joined the army. She's like, yeah, and while you were off gallivanting about in the army, I had to raise our child. Yeah, so I married him so he could take care of me and pay for my college. So you were a gold digger then? You just married a dude to pay for the baby? Like, what?
Exactly. And then it's like, but like he said, I didn't even know I had a kid. Now, Larry the Larva, he's one of those toys that whole skit, the consumer probe from SNL, this would have been one of the toys that Dan Aykroyd's character, Erwin Mainway, would have had in his thing, because it's mad dangerous. There's like sharp fucking like teeth sticking out of the front. It's very deadly. It's like, this is something a kid should not be playing with.
Yeah, and we also, in this movie, we get to meet the mom's good friend, Kim.
Kim, who is Neef Hunter from the previous film.
And now they don't...
Who's also named Kim.
Yeah, now they don't really say that she's the same character, but they do have the mom in this say, oh, it's been crazy lately, and they have Kim's character go, yeah, you wouldn't believe the year I've had. But that's it. And then we also have, at one point, Clint Howard shows up playing another character named Ricky. And he's not the same guy, but it's Clint Howard playing a weird Santa named Ricky, so you make the call. And it's very strange. Like, I guess maybe they didn't want to have to try and connect the two movies, but yet they did with the characters, so I'm not sure why they felt the need to do that. Just give them different names, or, I don't know, cast someone different. This is probably one of those things where they filmed them back to back, like one right behind the other, and they were just like, I don't know, you want to play somebody different in this movie? And just threw them in there.
No, she's literally named the same character in both movies. But her, like I said, how do you not know? Because it's like, I think it's using the sister, using his wife, who did the casting for part 5, more than likely casting for part 4. And it's like, why did you have... The character's name is Kim Lovett. And if you look the character in both 4 and 5, it's Kim Lovett. In both things. So they were wink wink trying to be cute about it. Because how do you cast the same woman and name her Kim? Why didn't it... There's...
Now wait, they did say that kid that she had, they did say that was her adopted son. Did she adopt the brother of the... What was the brother's name?
He had blonde hair.
What was the brother's name? Let me look. Yes, that is the same kid.
I'm dead.
And by the way, the kid in this is Conan Yuzna. I'll let you figure out how that's related. But yeah, so this is it. She adopted the kid, and now the Pino comes and leaves another box on the steps for her son. And it's, what is it? It's some little rollerblades, because those were big in the 90s. And he throws them out. He's like, I don't want any part of this shit. Anything that comes in a box addressed to me is probably not good. So Lonnie goes and puts them on. And as soon as he puts them on, he starts rocketing about the neighborhood in these things. He's going great. He's having fun. And then all of a sudden, his rocketing turns real serious. Flames shoot out of the back of it, and he's like spinning around in circles, running up and down driveways, and then he gets hit in the slowest vehicle ever. Like, this car hits him at like 5 miles an hour, and then the next scene, you see him, he's wrapped up in bandages like the fucking mummy, or I'm sorry, like the fucking Invisible Man in bandages, and they're like, it's okay, he's gonna pull through. He got hit at 5 miles an hour. What the hell? Like, you can hit a cat at 5 miles an hour and it'll survive. This kid got hit at 5 miles an hour. He looks like they threw him off the Empire State Building. He's so fucked up. His whole
face is bruised and swollen. It's really bad. And it was a like, boing. Like, he barely got, there was only like half a roll.
Yeah, like I've been bumped by a car that hard. Okay, and
he didn't even break the windshield.
Yeah, nothing. But then he's so fucked up, and then she's just like, but then you hear the doctor give the standard thing of, "Don't worry, he's going to be fine." He doesn't look fine. It looks like you worked him over with a ball bat after he came to the hospital. Did they drop him at the hospital, like down a flight of stairs? And they were like, fuck, just say it was like a delayed injury of some kind, and they'll believe it. It's the 90s.
Now, they give a lot of, you're thinking the whole time, they kind of have that, who's the suspect, everyone is a suspect, is what I'm trying to say. I couldn't get that out. You're like, oh, is it, the freaking creepy guy that's, following them every fucking 5 seconds before you find out that he's a dad? Is it Joe Petto? Is it Pino?
As in, well, let's go ahead and say it. Pinocchio? Yeah, even the cat was like, Jesus Christ, that's corny.
And he runs the Geppetto runs the shop, in case anyone literally is like, why?
In case that wasn't that subtle.
Yeah. You have him, he's the toy maker, and he's making all these deadly toys because, why not? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make fucking crazy fucking toys that are going to, like, wake up and kill people or children. Because I'm bitter because my wife and my unborn baby boy, like, they got killed and they died. And now I, have this other son, and he's good for nothing. I hate that guy. And I'm just this old grumpy fuck man that's mad. I'm just like, okay, well, if I couldn't have my family, then everyone's family dies, I guess, is the thought process behind that. There's not really, we're gonna go with that one. We're gonna go with that. And I feel like the movie, there's just a lot of running around, and there's a lot of closets. I feel there was a lot of like going into hiding things and going upstairs. There was a lot of things that were happening, but nothing was happening.
You have Pino coming into the house and just like looking around, and she goes to Geppetto and is like, yeah, I caught your son just lurking around in our house. What the fuck's with that? He goes, oh yeah, we used to live there. Sometimes he does that.
Yeah, which is like, okay.
She's like, well, if he does it again, I'm going to call the cops. We're like, okay, I guess I'll tell him to quit that.
Yeah, I guess that's not good then.
So, while the mom is coming out of work one day, she meets up with the mysterious guy. And
he comes up behind her like a murderer, and she runs away. Like, you're like, oh, finally, okay, this guy's the guy. Like, she's trying to terribly, like...
She's running in heels.
She's running here, trying to get into her car, and she's literally not even putting the key in the fucking hole.
This is my thing: is who just carries a single loose car key in their pocket or in their purse, not on a ring or anything. It's just a loose key, and she's shaking like
like a leaf.
Like 40 degrees outside, and she's wet, and she's just shaking like crazy, trying to get to them. Drops it down a grate, and it's like, oh no!
And then the guy's running after her. She runs away, and then he catches up with her, and then she looks at him, and he looks at her, and then they fucking just start making out like mad people, and you're like, what is going on right now? And then come to find out, that's her baby daddy. And then, like you do in all things, when you're in it's 40 degrees out, you got lost out of your car. You can't get into your car. Your son's waiting at home. There might be a killer on the loose.
He coincidentally, I think, is a locksmith. So he pops her car open for her, and then is like, well, I see you've got a station wagon here.
And a blanket.
They didn't need a blanket. They just fucked in the back seat.
There was a blanket.
Oh, yeah. Wherever that came from, because I didn't see it before. But yeah, so while they're having sex there, the kid's at home with the babysitter.
Who the babysitter is the only babysitter I've seen so far where she actually did something good, but also something bad at the same time. Earlier...
Pino shows up at the house.
No, the father who shows up. Earlier the father had showed up. Yeah, we kind of got behind because that's how he ends up at the mom's job. But that scene is basically the babysitter like slams the door, doesn't let the guy in, is like, get the fuck away, But then she's like, oh, but the mom works at this building. That's how he gets to the building. That's how he knew where she was at, was that the babysitter told him. But she's taking care of the kid. And like in all movies, the babysitter's taking care of the kid. Let's put the kid to sleep because I got other plans. And then the boyfriend is already
in the room next door to the kid.
Yeah, literally. And then they decide, you know what? These walls are mad thick. He's not going to hear anything. The kid's hearing everything. And he's like, look, I already saw my parents have sex. I'm just a kid. I don't want to hear this. And they're just, it's the worst foreplay makeout scene I've ever seen in a movie, because they were just hands and tugs just flying everywhere.
I feel like these people had never actually been in a relationship, kissed anybody, touched anyone before, and they were like, okay, you people that have never experienced the touch of another person, make out. And they were just like flailing at each other constantly on there. It was the worst. But that's when you get Joe Petto showing up in the house, dumping out his bag of murder toys. And of course, like all things, you've got the special, like, arm. Like, it's just like an arm with a remote on the bottom of it that crawls across there. It's grabbing a hold of the guy's ass while he's on top of the girl. And he's like, oh, yeah, I like that. But, baby, you should use some lotion. Your hands are rough. First of all, that's the way to keep the sex going, is tell her her hands are too rough for you. And then they figure out what's going on. The toys immediately start firing at them. Like, the toys just open up. Like, all the little army toys start shooting. One toy just flips out razor blades, starts stabbing everybody. And I got to give it to the babysitter. She gets shot like 14 times with these toys.
Michael Myers style, dude.
She gets hit in the chest. Like, it blows out a hole in her chest. Like, fucking huge. Like, the size of...
I thought she was dead. I was like, she's dead.
Yeah, this hole looks like it's the size of a tennis ball or something. But somehow she's alive. She manages to make it downstairs and tell the mom that, like, oh no, a guy dressed like Santa came in and took your son, and these toys tried to murder us. And of course, for a second, they're like, what are you talking about? Then the plane flies down from upstairs, tries to hit him, misses, hits the trash can, goes off like a hand grenade. The trash can just goes into pieces everywhere. And she's like, all right, let's go to Geppetto's. That's got to be where they're at.
Yeah, that's got to be where they are, because it was it was the old man. It was Joe Petto that came and kidnapped.
As I said, the toy maker.
So the toy maker, they get to the shop, and of course, you know, there's a fight scene, and the fucking father gets all fucked up, and now, oh no, we're in the basement, and I have to fend for myself. The mom is trying to fight, and the son is nowhere to be found. But like in Killer Clown style, there's huge, like, freaking bags hanging from the ceiling. It just reminded me of the cotton candy that they would keep the victims in, and hanging from the fucking ceiling there. But you can't see what's in them because Santa's bag, just like 5 of them. And there's Joe Petto, like, fucking being crazy, but then reveal, oh no, we look on the floor, Joe Petto's on the floor. How could he be on the floor and also talking to me at the same time? Let me take off my motherfucking face, because I'm actually Pino, and spoiler alert, I'm a motherfucking, I don't want to say android, but
I'm a robot.
He's a robot.
And for the first time, now throughout the entire movie, he has moved just fine.
He's moved just fine. His skin was fine. He looked fine. He did have a cover, like you said, he had like a hat or something.
He was wearing like a scarf over his head all the time. But like when he takes the scarf off, he's got the plastic doll hair that's very obviously, you know, just a mask. And all of a sudden now he's doing the stiff robot dance kind of moves.
I'm a stiff robot. Oh man, my favorite toy, well hold on. My favorite toy from the whole toy thing was the Killer Coochie 3000. Killer Coochie Eater 3000 that attacked a girl.
Yeah, we forgot about that. It's a weird, looks like a giant monster head that just comes running. And I know this had to have been like an MPAA note, because it was diving straight for her vagina.
Yeah.
Snapping, and then she
her legs were wide open.
And she screams and screams. And then when we cut back later, the thing is just to the side of her crotch on her upper thigh.
And then it gets to her chest.
Yeah, and it's like, that was an MPAA note, I'm sure. Like, no, you got to cut that. That's too much.
Killer Coochie Eater 3000 in stores December 1st.
But so she ends up taking an axe to Pinocchio and chopping him to pieces. But it's just like, before that happens.
Wait a second. You just you're so excited that you skipped over the
I
terrible
was
part.
getting back to it.
The terrible part of with
Where Pinocchio says, "I'll be your son. Now I'll kill your son, and then I'll become your son. I'll love you."
Yeah, I'll love you. Wait. Before that happens, when he gets to all that, he takes off his Santa Claus shirt. Now he's just chest. And then he goes for the pants. And at that point, I was like, oh, fuck no. They're going to go. And if I told Chad, I was like, if he has a crazy wooden dick, I don't even know what I'm going to do. Like, I don't know what to do. But he was smooth like a Ken doll, okay? He does take off his pants. And now he's booty naked for a wooden doll.
Then he grabs the girl and is like...
his mom, or not his mom.
He wants to be his mom.
Yeah.
And it's like, let me love you and be your son. He puts her up on the table, spreads her legs.
And dry humps the shit out of her. Where he says, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I was like, I want this movie to end.
So she finally gets loose, gets an axe, chops Pino to pieces, and smashes him up. Everybody high-fives, and then they leave. But as they leave, you see another, dummy hanging on the wall who gets the little, 80s gleam and sparkle in his eye with, the little, bad
electricity.
Laser electricity effect. Crackle, crackle. And you're like, ha, ha, ha. You get a little laugh. You're like, oh, they were going to try and do a part 6, weren't they?
No, we don't.
Fortunately, this ended the Silent Night, Deadly Night series.
Goodness. Which, at the same year... my Puppet Master movie had come out.
Yeah.
So, like I said, they all came out when it was that year was a certain thing was on trend and they went for it. Even down to the music of this one. It's very much like Dolls. Very Puppet Mastery. Yeah. But it is all over the place because it's just what? I wish I was a fly in the wall in these discussions, when they're writing these screenplays. What is the thought process? How do you go from Killer Santa, okay, first movie, right? And then obviously we already had said earlier that the first 3 are in its own world. 4 and 5 are only connected by Kim. So this woman just has a fucking terrible life because she just can't get out of being surrounded by fucking psychoticness. Even though, as far as it got to her adopted son got a little banged up, but he survived. To having
crazy witches with
witch, cockroach loving witches, man-hating witches and robots that are murderous and want to be real boys so then they can have sex with their mom. What the fuck? What is this?
I don't know, but if I had to take a guess, I would say the main component of these was drugs. It was the 80s, and I feel like there might have been some drugs involved in the writing of these movies for sure. But yeah, now as for a rating on these, I'm going to give part 3 1 knife. Part 4, I'm going to give 2 knives just because it's insane and weird and disturbing. And then part 5, it's just sad. I'm just going to give it 1 knife.
I'm not going to even rate any of them. I'm going to rate them all as one movie. Okay? Because it's one of those things. Should you watch these films? A big part of me is heck no. Do not waste your time. But at the same time, you will never motherfucking watch a movie like this. These movies are out of this world insane. I'd rather watch any one of these movies over some terrible remake that is coming out or has come out. Any Rob Zombie movie, really. I'd rather watch these movies over a lot of films, modern films that have come out.
Yeah.
Because at least, even though they're fucking insane, out of this world, don't make any sense, at least they try to have some kind of originality. It's just so and then it's so used now. Like 4 and 5 is just like the epiphany of like him. Like there's nothing more to describe. If you've seen any of his films, you know what you're getting into to some degree. With these, we knew we were in for something crazy special.
I'd say watch these just because they're fun. I'm not gonna say they're great, but they're fun.
Yeah, they're not great. They're terrible. But I give them as a whole, I give them a 1.5 knife. I was gonna give 2 knives. That for part 3, 0 knives. I don't even give a rating for that because that was just very hard to sit through. Part 4, the roaches and like the whole metamorphosis thing, like I would have just read the novel. Like obviously it has nothing to do with what's happening in this one, but just like the transformation of the roaches and the centipedes and all the body horror. If you're into body horror, this movie is for you. This is like in the body horror category for sure. I give that 1 knife. And the last one, yeah, a 1/2 knife. So whatever you want to do with that, So yes, 1.5 knives. That's my rating. I'm sticking to it. And that concludes our Silent Night, Deadly Night holiday extravaganza. Woo! Hopefully you're safe. You've had, will have, and are having a good holiday, depending on when you listen to this podcast, this extra special podcast, because now we're down to 2 a month. So we thought we'd give you a little extra as a gift to you, our listeners, who we love very much. Thank you very much, and stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.